As far as me cleaning up after myself and taking accountability, Jennifer Pan is my fault. My mom could have helped her. My mom was a chemical engineer at U of T when she was attending the school while she was trying to become a pharmacology student or like a pharmacist. She killed her parents. It's not her fault. It is my fault technically because my mom could have helped her and prevented the tragedy. It's a mental health issue. It's a mind control issue. It's a historical issue because to override all these issues, you'd have to go back into the past and you have to tell my mom, I have to tell my mom this is going to happen if you don't do anything about it. And my mom didn't do anything about it. So it is my fault to some extent. It was all preventable. And not just Jennifer Pan, but all the other students who attend the high school who or international students who think they come here for a better life. They have no idea what they're getting into. To some extent, I apologize. Obviously, there's Alpha College and all these other colleges which have admittedly, they literally admit, their staff, their CEOs admit we're railing in profits and we feel bad for it, but there's nothing we can do. So I don't know who's running the whole entire system, the whole scheme, the pyramid scheme. I'm not the one running it. I mean, I know my part. I know my mom who worked at U of T, so that's like me owning up to that. I mean, obviously now, Jennifer Pan's in prison. Maybe she's rotted in prison and she's gone because there's clear, I've never gotten a response to the letter I wrote to her, but it's a mind control issue. It all goes back to the way your parents talk to you, because the thing is, when your parents talk to you as a child, you will obey mindlessly. You will mindlessly obey what they say. Because it's mind control. It's literally mind control. You'd have to override psychological control, indoctrination from a very young age. People think it's indoctrination, you write something or you say something over and over. No, the entire mistake was when your parents talk. Any adult talks to a child, they can mind control the child because the child is a vulnerable person. They're desperate. They don't have any friends. They have nothing. It's like an international student comes to Canada. They're desperate. They need help. They don't know anything. And I'm still fucking like that. It's fucking terrible. Look at my fucking voice. If you hear my voice, you're like, who hurt this man? Why is his voice, sounds like he was, you hear my voice. It's a horrible way to live. It's a horrible way to live. I fucking cater, people please, and then there's policy of appeasement, which happened in World War II. It's a horrible way to live, and all because my parents had fun one night, and that's why I had to suffer this way. And I mean, I admit it. I can make people. I could attempt to talk to people to try to convince them to feel sorry for me for one reason or another, even if they shouldn't. And I mean, people can do that in a court trial. People can do that in a courtroom, whatever. That's not me. I don't endorse lying and all this stuff. And again, we're all just pawns for the political elites, especially white people. They're just pawns for us white people, like me. I'm just a pawn for Mark Carney, because Mark Carney, he can't own up to his mistakes, so he needs, people like me to kind of, while I'm still alive, until someone, removes or executes me, I could still talk to him, and everything I say sounds like an advocation for him. It's the way I say things, all this. And I'm trapped with this voice. I can't change my voice for shit. Sometimes I sound more manly, and if you watch the videos, you can hear it. And it's assuming I'm not carrying anything heavy. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm tripping up on what I want to say and what I don't want to say, what I can say, what I can't say. That's assuming, I'm not getting overloaded with questions, or I'm breathing properly, or I'm not, I'm not on my medication, what I ate, my diet, the weather, the air can be cold and that's it. You can't communicate. But my voice in general, because I'm overloaded with information, and I'm not a professional speaker. I'm not by any means. That's not my profession. And I'm not trying to become a plumber. I'm not trying to become a professional speaker. And so all these me talking, like, I don't intend my voice to sound like this. Like, this is all just, by chance. Like, it wasn't something that I planned in advance. Um, uh, what's it called? Again, it's a horrible business I'm in. Like, like, obviously the society is now currently, like, 2026, everything is kind of like on like, everybody knows, like, things are hitting the fan, but like like you can't be overly prepared. I personally, like, I really don't know what to say, because I don't have I have to talk, because literally I have to talk, because there's nothing else that really drives me right now. Like, I'm doing the plumbing course. I'm okay with it, I'll be a laborer for the rest of my life. I could live with that. But, like, again, the accountability, mind control, adults telling children what to do, international students, like, the thing is, like in the beginning, the person is normal, or like the person, like, everybody, they're innocent, right? And innocent until proven guilty. But, like, it's horrible, because the innocent could be taken advantage of to do these crimes in the first place. So nobody's really talking about these things. And obviously, because Canada, the crime kind of got out of control, for better or for worse. And I say that because in my opinion, not all the criminals deserve to be there. And that, it's a simple talk that could prevent these issues, and even the system itself, like, waiting 18 years for, the person to graduate a high school. It's not right, and everybody knows it's not right, because we can see the system failing every single day. And, there's obviously everyone's pointing the fingers, and, overpopulation and whatever. And it's an easy time to be a criminal. It's pretty easy for people to, oh shit, it's not fucking fresh air here, but it's pretty easy for people to find shitty ways to do shitty things to each other. And I don't endorse that at all, but it's because there's just so much neglect in Canada. It's a neglectful place. You shouldn't trust this place whatsoever at all. It's not a nice place to live. It's not a nice place to die. It's not even a nice place to die, like, literally, like, I'm just being dead honest. I've been honest, throughout this video, because, again, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for. I could build, like, a command of people, and we could, like, we could try to, salvage whatever's left. But, like, it's a horrible business. And even the trajectory of reality that I'm in, like, I'm not taken seriously by anybody, really. I'm just dead honest. Like, I'm not, like, a person that people take seriously. I don't have any political, social affiliations that are honest and serious, that people, they look at. Like, look at this. My coat is falling. I'm trying to hold it, and it's the weather in Canada fucking changes, like, like a fucking, like a fucking door that you slam. It's a horrible business out here, because it's impossible to live. There's no quality of life here. But, again, like, right now the whole world's in a pretty bad spot. But, I'm just, maybe I'm trying to build a tribe, trying to build a community of people who are like-minded, who trying to survive out here, because it's pretty difficult to survive. And I mean, that's common sense. I think everybody knows that we were all just trying to survive out here. But, like, I don't know, it's insane. Like, you don't even know who you're fighting against anymore. It feels like there's a different dimension that's, like, occurring simultaneously with ours. Obviously, like, horrifying social humiliation that I personally, like, again, I'm trying to avoid it as best as I can. I think I'm doing a pretty good job. I have this YouTube channel. I can communicate my thoughts Not unless some sadistic person, really wanted to put me in the spot for whatever reason and they really wanted to make an example of me. I think I'm fine, like, for the most part. At least here in Algonquin. I mean, I've never had any bad experience here yet. Again, like, people, like the reason, like, they humiliate me is because, at least the reason I could come up with is because I'm an easy target, because I don't really resist, but also because, it's because I also, I become an easy target because I'm not, overly prepared. I'm constantly worried, and, but also it's like, there's, it only takes to destroy a single human being. It only takes a single moment. It doesn't take a fucking, it only takes like a little punch or like, one argument. Dead ass, it only takes one argument to destroy a human being. One little accusation or something, and you're in the slammer. I'm being dead serious. So again, I don't say these things to be hurtful, but it's true. You only need to say or do one little thing, and the laws say, and it's like the Salem witch trials, where they point in Spain, they point at the fucking woman, and they're like, she's a witch, and that's it. She's in the prison. She's never leaving, and that's how it is nowadays. And I mean, nobody trusts each other, obviously. I don't trust anybody either. I mean, I don't know who to trust. I've cut off my family for my cause. I told my mom, I've had to override everything and basically say that, it's, I can't live a normal life because, thousands of my peers didn't. Thousands of my peers, it was one little mistake, and then they're no longer around, and, whether it was in the work or something, if you're overriding, like, psychological mind control that spans from ancient Egypt with, you're overriding, like, psychological mind control that spans from, like, ancient Egypt and, obedience from, a master, a slave master, or a pharaoh, or something like that. I mean, everybody will fucking say the Bible's fake, and, the story with Pharaoh and all this shit is all fake. But I promise, it's all true. That, at the end, that everybody can see it for what it is. That in the last days, or at least logically, the disobedience from the obedience towards a slave master, or mindless obedience from a child to a parent out of desperation or vulnerability because they don't know anything better. I mean, this is what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about, mind control, and you're overriding that. You're attempting to override that and go back in time. So that's like two things that you're attempting to do to fix the reality, which is practically impossible. I mean, half the battle is the first one, but the second one, going back in time, there's no possibility there. I mean, I can't think of it. I tried taking my car and fucking reversing it and emotionally thinking about what I wanted to go back, like what I wanted. I wanted to go back in time. There's nothing in the future here. Hold on, my fucking pants are falling. Okay, there. So, like, the thing is like, I feel like talking like this makes me more sane, makes me feel more sane, only because I can't talk about these things with, my peers in the Algonquin College classroom. Obviously, there's little crevices of, I kind of reveal what I'm thinking, but not entirely. But in general, obviously the question's well, then why'd you sign up to Algonquin? Why, you don't even plan to be a plumber, you plan to be outside in Windsor. And I don't have a solid answer for that. I don't have a solid answer as to why I mean, I decided to stake it out because I just wanted a backup plan. You know, I wanted to give the real world a chance one last time before I am in the tent, and I guess, you know, wanted my own place. I've never got to live the way I could, and I mean, I wouldn't have headed to Windsor regardless, because there was nothing there for me at the time. But you know, like, oh fuck, my fucking pants are falling. I gotta get a fucking belt. Figure that out later. But like I said, like, you know, I don't know anybody in Windsor. I don't know anything about Windsor. So me heading there is like, you know, it's like you know, you're putting your hand into it's like you're swimming in you know, you're taking a dive into a pool. You don't even know if it's shallow or deep. I didn't think it would come to this. And you know, again, like, this is the most serious conversation I've ever had. It should have happened years ago. And again, I wholeheartedly regret everything of my life. You know, I would have never stepped outside if I knew this would happen. You know, and that's because I know the mistake. The mistake is, everything is a mistake, and the Jews know this. The Jews know that the way that the semantics are put in the English language, and even the way you walk or breathe, like, you know, people might breathe too much, too little, and even like attending the college, like the door, it slams unreasonably loud. It slams unreasonably, you know, far too much. And again, maybe people, like, they would listen. This is very entertaining, and I never knew this information. And you know, thank you for sharing. And you know, maybe this could help me and change my life. But it's too late now. 1 second, my fucking pants are out of control today. But like, you know, like I'm telling you, like, in the beginning, like, no, I would have recorded these videos sooner to educate everybody, because I think that everybody's kind of tricked. They're kind of duped into thinking that, you know, like, because you can, just by simply talking, being alive, that's how they're going to get you. And I'm not talking about, you know, the people like criticizing. They have very valid criticisms of me speaking, me still being alive. I get that. Like, I get that totally. Like, after 2012, you know, like, I would have never spoken. I would have never opened my big fat mouth. I swear I would have never. But you know, it is what it is. But like, it's one thing to open your mouth, but to say something wise, to, because the thing is, all of this is a setup to ensure your failure. You know, all the distractions, all the media, all the infighting, you know, all the little gimmicks and little toys and all this stuff, it's all done on purpose to give you ADHD, to ensure you never get your education. You're permanently lost. You're permanently dependent on your parents, maybe the system. The government wants you to be weak. They want you to be volatile. It's very obvious. But it's also done in such a way that it's like they don't even want you to know what's going on. They don't even want you in the physical reality. They want you trapped, you know, just till the next dopamine strike, or to the next, you know, or to your slave, or your jailer, whether it's your boss or your parents. There's so many cages you have to overcome in order to defeat the Matrix. And I don't say it as a joke. Everybody thinks it's a fucking joke, Andrew Tate, you know. And even the way the media, you know, programs your mind to not take things seriously, to fucking laugh at everything, to, you know, be desensitized to pain of your peers and all that. It's all on purpose, and I swear that's on purpose. For me, though, as far as the video is concerned, you know, it's horrible, because, you know, I was born in Canada. There's no context whatsoever, so I'm just going off based off everything I know and trying to throw out, like, as much water at the fire as I can, even though I know I'm gonna fucking, even though, like, I know the position I'm in is like the worst position. And you know, even just by talking, or you're like, you can say, you don't even need to say anything. You just breathe a little bit too loud, the guy will get annoyed and punch you, and you're dead. You know, and that's 2026 for you. That's the reality of 2026. You look at a house the wrong way, you do whatever. So, you know, obviously I don't blame people. Why bother even getting up? And this is all my personal life experience, and this is the way I quantify my life and human life. It might not be right. It might not be, it might not be the way, people want it to be. But again, I have to take accountability, and that's what the video is for. The video is for all the people who, they told their parents, I did the homework, I swear I did the homework, or, I swear I swear I did the homework. I swear I, I swear I had the cell phone. I swear, I swear my dog ate my homework or something. I'm being dead ass with these like so-called excuses that people think they're not excuses. The bus could have came late. There could have been a storm. There could have been a power outage. You don't know. Your printer could have run out of paper. So the whole system is just a scam. I mean, the whole society is a scam, and it destroyed my life like everybody else's. I have as much blame to carry as the next person, and I'm exposing myself here, and I have no, I have no shame because I've already been randomly attacked. So the thing is like when you get randomly attacked, it's like you just kind of realize like, like, you might as well talk about the problems that caused it in the first place. Might as well talk about, how you got here in this position, and then you try to solve it. And again, it's horrifying because I have like this baby voice, and no person would take me seriously like if I started speaking, or even the way I look. It's a horrifying existence, and it's all done on purpose because some guy is like using a meth pipe or fentanyl to manipulate the reality to make sure I look this way. And if I don't explain that to like the person, like when you verbalize it, and you make the enemy like you could picture the enemy, that's much better than that's much better than allowing the enemy to like creep up from nowhere, from behind, to randomly attack you. Because a random attack is a humiliation. People will look at that, and that's like a humiliation. It's a horrible way to go. You're honestly better off dying, getting shot at or something. So this is the truth. This is the reality. I mean, you're not going to fix random attacks because the person's parents could have yelled at them. They could have had a trauma or whatever. But even then, if you go before that, when you go before that to the point of like, it could be a little thing, a little scratch from a piece of metal, and they have like a toxic, like a toxic infection. So, there's no helping the society from that standpoint. And that's just a truthful, cynical take. But what I can do, what I can help with, in these videos, as far as explain, I mean, the only thing, I already said it before, and I hope I said it 4 years ago. I'm nailing the point home. The system is to blame. The system is to blame for, like, overburdening individuals, making them liable, making them appear like they're evil or, they're insane. When in reality, they're just overwhelmed with information. They're overwhelmed with decisions. They're overwhelmed with problems, and they're overwhelmed with, they're overwhelmed, they're stressed, and then they kind of lash out. And then you add like a door slam, and then the parents, and the traffic, and then the snowstorm, and you have a cocktail of issues. And I feel horrible because this has been going on for my entire life. This is not something that happened last night. This has been going on my entire life, and I honestly did nothing to help. Like, I've done nothing to help. I've complained. In 2012, my mom agreed. Canadian education system is bad. Like, so there is an agreement there, and that's me telling you the truth to all the people in the audience, that you can't come and hunt me down. That I'm the one who's responsible because I'm not. Because I'm not responsible. Because I've criticized the system in 2012 when it was valid. Because 2012 was when everybody knows the world ended in 2012. The Mayan calendar said so as well. So it's one thing that you see something failing and you say nothing at all, but I'm telling right off the bat, in 2012, like I knew the system was failing. You want to have an idea? I'm just gonna, like, everybody knew in 2012 that the system was failing, that that education system was failing, all that. In Canada, and obviously all the wimps, all the people who aren't actually Canadian, they fucking just flee. They flee like every winter, like all the international students, foreigners, whoever you name it that aren't Canadian, or even just expatriates, they'll flee every winter or fall. But as far as like, the people who actually stay, to clean up after the mess, or to try to fix whatever they can, I mean, obviously that's who I'm talking about, and that's who I am. And I will never forget my experiences with my mom and arguing. It was all about obedience. It was all about that mind control schema. It's all about, everybody convincing that somebody else is the problem, or there's someone to blame, and they use simple terminology, but there's nothing simple about any of this. There is nothing simple about any of this, I promise you. And it's horrifying because, like, I didn't start off this way. I had my own life. I had my own childhood. I had my own way of doing things. And it's like, you can't own anything. You can't own anything of your own. You have to fucking restart, and a bunch of bureaucracy, and there a bunch of paperwork. And then next thing you know it, like my voice sounds okay, but believe me, I was frustrated years ago. Like, I would fucking cry, call helplines, contemplating, quitting, self-deletion. But I'm honest, I'm dead serious. Like, it's a horrifying thing, and I don't tell anybody about this stuff because, like, I don't even know what it's come to. I didn't want to, I don't want any, like, probably because, like, I'll be honest, the people who don't want to hear this, or who don't resonate with the message, don't resonate with me at all. And there's people like that. I'm being dead serious. They look at you once, and I already explained in this video, but, like, it's not for them. And, they don't physically appear in front of me for that reason. It's like an energy thing. Like, the people who are meant to be in your life, they'll appear, and the people who aren't, they won't appear. So, but for me, like I said, like, it's all about, just this one thing where, like, I'm just saying, like, the system that's, like, if you take the system, Canadian system, and you put it, like, you take it word for word, and you take it like a printed statement, like, hold this, all that, there's no specification, there's no details, there's no information, you're really dealing with almost nothing. And then you have the people who will justify, be like, oh, well, this is normal, the system works, it worked out for me. And then you have the rest of the people who are, like, dealing with the after effects, like, it's dealing with, like, a death by 1,000 cuts type of thing. And so the result is ugly. It's like an open wound where you're just throwing salt in, just you're throwing salt in, getting, you're taking a step forward, 2 steps back. It's a horrifying result, and and I'm to blame for some of it, not all of it. Again, Mark Carney can easily change the school system, but when you take the system and then you take the facts of the logistical issues of reality of, like, food, water, shelter, and fucking, like, ice storms, and natural disasters, and car crashes, overdoses, and fighting people randomly attacking. And I'm just going to say it for the record that random attacks are random attacks, and as horrifying as they are, not all of them are random, but also you're not at the advantage. It's the guy who's attacking who's at the advantage, because the guy who was attacking, he you don't see it coming. So, the random attacks are something, preying upon the vulnerability that, you're naive and you don't see it coming. And it's a shame nobody will, like, honestly, I don't think that many people will watch this video, but it's a shame. It's a horrifying shame. You don't expect these things to happen. People ask, what's with the cane? 24 years old and there's a cane. I'm just fucking done with this life. I'm fucking tired of, opening these doors and all these logistical things you have to figure out. And I don't take this shit for an answer, and I'm fucking pissed. I'm fucking pissed, like everybody else. I didn't think it would come to this, where and I'm ashamed. I would have talked about these things sooner. I would have told somebody about this, because it's beyond tragic. It's like you're set up from the start, and you own nothing. You own absolutely nothing. You barely even own what you say, because there's things you can't say, and then there's like people get offended, and then the third and the fifth, and then the seventh, and then the eighth. But like, really, I'm just trying to like say it honestly, like um uh like I didn't intend to like I'm just saying it truthfully, like when you take the logistics of like physical real life, and then you're taking like a system that's like old, and there's like there's like a bunch of gaps and loopholes and problems, and a bunch of, and you're just burdening the individual, and then they lash out. Everyone's fucking surprised. I just think real life is way too difficult. It's way too fucking complicated. I don't have again multiple heads and arms to deal with all this shit. So like even right now, my parents are fucking falling, and I don't have a belt, and that's just a low level example of just real life being complicated and absurd. And like if you're a perfectionist, and if you're a person who has to deal with, like, you're like a neurosurgeon, or you're going to Waterloo for computer science, and you're dealing with like a scenario where you have like certain like extremely precise things you're dealing with, like this life is not for you, because the average on average what's going to happen, it's like you're gonna shoot the ball from like half court, and you're gonna hit the fucking backboard, or you're fucking, it's like you're talking about like you're like, I don't know, like it's like writing with a pencil that's not sharp. That's the average person in the modern world. Like rarely is anybody coming to this to this fight with a sharpened pencil. So again, these, I hate to, like, I regret not making these videos sooner. I don't endorse murder. I don't endorse criminals. I just think the system is completely wrong. I think that if the system cared about people, it would just give them the job. It would let them work as, like, I'd just be like, hey, work as a paramedic, don't need no degree, don't need to fucking, because at this point, what good are you doing, prolonging the problem, prolonging it for another 4 years, or sending the guy to medical school for like what, 10 years, 20 years, waiting for a doctor for 20 years. I think that's just unacceptable, and I think that's horrifying. And I'm sure, someone somewhere, made a loophole, and they just, the cartel made a loophole, and hired a doctor of their own and whatever, and they just trained them. But I'm talking about the average person, where like nobody will take them seriously. Nobody will take them seriously because they'll get shunned out by all the other voices talking, all the other people who are trying to make a quick buck, take advantage of them. Because what they're going to do, it's a system. The system's going to use the distractions and the little toys and gimmicks to try to distract you, and to try to get you to slip up, to try to get you to literally is to destroy you. It's to physically and mentally destroy you. That's what the system's for, and that's all that it's designed to do. There's no winners. It's just a losing game. And when I'm off my meds, I see it for what it is, and I'm able to, like, just be in the moment here, and just kind of, I feel empty. I don't feel great about this. I feel empty on the inside, but like I feel empty on the inside, but like it's horrifying, because the Black Death, the psychological Black Death, like the thing you're dealing with it's such an uphill battle that you can't make this shit up. It's biblical proportions. Like, you wouldn't, like, even a person who's a fucking hardcore atheist would be like, this is biblical, like a level of death, and the level of like blame, and the level of like incompetence in the government, just to change a law, just to make people's life more simple. Like, that's what I fight for. And I get it, like, I get the whole overpopulation problem, and the entire intention was like the entire intention, that like if you're not like a nth generation Canadian, then you're the things you say are less valid than the others, and I get that. But like even then, like I'm like, I already acknowledged I'm never gonna have a family. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm living vegetarian. I'm living no light, no power. I'm living in a tent, as I said in the video. So I'm not the one who's going to be the one to blame. I'm not the one who has the power, the money, and I'm not the one you should be coming for. You should be coming for Mark Carney, Donald Trump, not some guy with a YouTube channel is genuinely trying to help you out. Like, I mean, again, you don't have to listen, right? Nobody fucking trusts anybody. But I'm telling you, the mind control from your parents will fuck you up for life, aside from the system. Other people who are fucked from the system, who are now trying to fuck you over, and blaming, and just like imprecision. It takes nothing to cause an argument. Like a parking spot, or a little, like like a little, like even the physical reality itself, we will argue over. We will argue over which color is better, red or blue. We'll argue over sports teams. We'll argue over this branch. Look, I'm walking, this branch is going to hit me, and it's inconvenient, and like my pants are falling. All these little things build up, and this is my complaint towards real life. This is my complaint towards the government, and why I think the system's unjust. I think I deserve, and I'm entitled to be a family doctor or a neurosurgeon, because I put up for this for 24, 25 years, and I'm being ridiculed. I'm being, I'm told I'm not enough. There's something I'm missing. And this is the insanity. This is the crux of what I'm arguing against. And again, maybe I'm late to the party. There was a guy in 2017 who was a neurosurgeon, and your parents will indoctrinate you. Not only will they mind control you, they will indoctrinate you. And at least in North America, they need an endless supply of white people from Europe, because obviously the white people here aren't fucking procreating, because everybody fucking hates us. It's just the fucking truth. And even the wind started to fucking pick up. Everybody's blaming us. And okay, like again, I didn't think it would come to this, and I didn't want it to be this way, but you're born a certain way, even though I'm fucking from Kazakhstan, even though I can prove that I have North Asian DNA, which proves that I'm not 100% white. No, the people, they'll use the incredulity card. They'll use it against you the same way they are using it against me. So I'm just speaking the truth, the absolute truth, the authentic, unquestionable truth. I'm sure that these, like, even YouTube is a weird thing, because it seems like there's like different dimensions, and even you can communicate to the past, and this is where all the time travel shit comes in. But again, I don't want to get carried away. I'm not fucking traveling to the past, by any stretch of the imagination. I can try to imagine that, but like I said, I can sit in the corner, suck my thumb, and try to feel comfortable. And that's the best I can muster. That's the best I can muster to make myself feel better. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's the case. And obviously people are going to be like, oh, this guy is trying to, he's trying to take the moral high ground. Literally, he's trying to take the moral high ground. But I'm not trying to take the moral high ground. I'm trying to just say that it's all been a mind scheme. It's all been indoctrination from the start. And the further you try to, assert yourself in a position of power, or even doing anything good, especially if you're white, and trying to anything that's especially if you're white and you're trying to better yourself or your life, you're actually doing the opposite, because someone of a different nationality will see that, and they'll take it as a perk, as like a incentive to downgrade that person in some way, verbally, physically.